All right, welcome in here to the KSR YouTube channel. We're going to do it stream-wise today because it was a little bit of a headache to set the camera up yesterday, go back to the hotel, and yeah. So just going to do it now. I'm going to talk about Kentucky's 7-3 win over USC Upstate in the second game of their NCAA tournament here in Clemson. Keeps the season alive. It was 3-3 for most of the game. Herrera's RBI bunt, I believe in the sixth. Yes, gave them the 4-3 lead. And then they tack on three more runs in the bottom of the eighth. Hudson Brown has a two-run single. Cole Hage with a one-run single. Ethan Walker comes in, follows Nick McKay, just absolutely shuts it down over the last four innings. I think he faced 18 batters. I think he probably retired 16 of those or 15 of those. A really inspiring game considering what happened yesterday. They kind of lost that lead and kind of looked lifeless over the backstretch of that game, and now they've got at least one more game in the season. All I asked was for them to come out and win one in this regional. I told Derek this earlier. Kind of had the same sentiment to last year's World Series, where the expectations aren't that high for the program. Just come out and win one. Got one 7-3 win over a USC Upstate team, which Nate Mingio touched on a post game. They lost a lot of production this offseason. I think he showed a sheet and it was like 27 players. I think that's what he said that they lost. Got them through the regional. They had Clemson on the ropes last night. We're tied in the eighth. We're down just one run to Kentucky in the eighth today. Fall short. They're a fun team to watch. Have some really good players, but overall, just a pretty good win for the Cats.
Yeah, it was. This was really well execution, I thought, from Kentucky at the end that we didn't see yesterday in the same areas. To tack on those runs, Daniel, I think they might have had enough anyway once they had the squeeze in the sixth. With the way that Walker was throwing the ball, he was excellent. But to tack on those three runs late, really, he felt great about it at that point that they found a way to win. Um, Walker's really been a revelation in the bullpen this year, and he had that role at Longwood before he came here. He was kind of a swing man. He could start. He could be a reliever. But that was a guy who I thought, out of all the fall practices and scrimmages that I went to, I thought Walker was probably the best arm at that point. And that's not always indicative of what's going to happen once the season begins. And I think in his case, that was probably true. He was more or less replaced by Nate Harris in the rotation, but since going to the pen, he's delivered some excellent outings. You go back to that Mississippi State series where they got swept, but on that final game on Sunday, it came out and was excellent. Since then, he's been nails every time they needed him. I thought it was a pretty big thing today. The overall vibes didn't feel great. He had Tyler Bell for the first time this season off play after he got hurt yesterday. He really gutted through yesterday's game. We're both here. I don't know what they showed on TV, but the whole game, I mean, he wasn't the same after he was limping around. Really battled through it, which I think we could give him a lot of credit, but not up there today. Kai Sargent got the start, but the team was able to put up 7 runs against the team. Daniel, I like this SC Upstate team a lot. This was a very good team, and to come to this regional, I thought they competed very well against both Clemson and Kentucky. Maybe didn't quite have the bullpen. They got down to that third pitcher. Kentucky really took advantage of that and loaded the bases, put the pressure on, and came through. Still too many base running mistakes, I guess you could say. One maybe unforced on Hanson trying to steal third. That ended an inning. And then the Hage was just a mistake on his part. It's not a coaching thing. It's just got deked, I guess. Went too far from the bag and got thrown out. So you want to nitpick some things. It's been an issue for this team all year at times. Giving up some outs there where you maybe have a chance to add on or do a little bit more damage. But overall, with your season on the line, down your best player in the order, I thought this was a really well played game overall for Kentucky. Whenever you really boil it down, they played winning baseball today.
Yeah, if there's anything I want to nitpick, I know I put out a stat pregame that the bottom of Kentucky's lineup over their 5-game losing streak had just been really like they have not been producing anything. Uh, don't really want to call guys out. Devin Burks, Kai Scargett, Patrick Reyes, since he's been injured, haven't done much. And when you look at it today, Gargett no hits, Burks no hits, Herrera no hits. You're still not really getting that production from the bottom of the lineup, but a guy that like Derek touched on, Hudson Brown batting seventh, where Gargett moved from DH to short due to Tyler Bell's injury. Hudson Brown gets a shot, and we were talking about it earlier. I've been really high on him this season. I think he had two doubles in one of the games against Vanderbilt. Just hasn't really found his footing in the lineup with Ryan Schwartz kind of emerging as the freshman in his spot, where Ryan Schwartz has gone right, which is forced James McCoy to first. I'm really high on him. If he can come back next year, I think he has a role if he works on it. Some good stuff. Once again, James McCoy is a guy that has kind of turned his whole outlook on what he is as a player around. I mean, at the beginning of the season, he was out of the like he was him and Devin Burks were the two starters from last year's College World Series team that returned, and McCoy was not even in the lineup at points. He had a really bad start to the season. He exited the lineup. They gave Carson Hansen got some outfield run. Once Ryan Schwartz got some run starting in the Tennessee series, and he kind of had to find his own way to get back in the lineup. Into a way, the way that he did that was the struggles at first base that UK had this year with Dylan Koontz not really painting out like other transfer first basemen had. So he took over that role in a spot that really needed it. And he's done really well. He's always had a really good glove. That's why I liked him when he was in right. But even at first, he's done good. Yesterday, I think there was a throw from Herrera that almost sailed over his head. He got way up and caught that. No errors at first for him defensively. He's probably one of the best defenders on the team. Now he had two hits today, so he's up to an 8-game hitting streak. I think he's got hits in 9 of his last 10 games. And once again, this is a guy that 2 months ago, you're like, that guy cannot be in the lineup. Luke Lawrence is a guy that also has improved mightily over the season. Had 3 hits today, had 3 hits in that SEC tournament game at Hoover. And as a middle infielder, you kind of this was the first game he's played all season that Tyler Bell wasn't beside him at shortstop, and they adjusted well with Caius over there. There was nothing that stuck out that was awkward between the two. Cole Hage again delivers with the RBI single in the eighth, which made it a 5-3 game, followed by Brown's 2-run single. So a lot of good stuff to like. Once again, USC Upstate, they're a scrappy bunch. Like I said, they very easily, if they could finish games, could have come out and maybe won yesterday. They could have come out and won today. Good group from them. Now we'll wait to see. I think both teams are warming up on the field now. They'll start at 6, which is that's still 2.5 hours from now. But we'll see if they get West Virginia again, which is what I'm hoping for. I think UK matched up really well against them. Like I said, they had them down the whole game, and they were tied, and then just did nothing over the last stretch of the game. I think if they get them, maybe a little motivation that maybe they didn't play their best baseball, and they know that they can beat that team. They won't have Griffin Kurt on the mound, the dude who threw 100,080 gazillion pitches. He was on it, so we'll have to see something different. I think UK will probably throw Nate Harris tomorrow. That'll be their plan. And then as to who follows him, maybe James McCoy gets action on the mound. Niall Adcock, although I'm not sure about that one. Simon Gregerson didn't throw many pitches yesterday. Cole Henschel looked to be warming up, so I think he's good to go. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see what their game plan is tomorrow.
I mean, as far as the pitching goes, they're really not in too bad a shape. I mean, you got to think Cleaver's obviously, I'd say most likely done. I mean, I suppose you could always do the thing on Monday night where he do the Sean Jelly where he comes in late and throws, but you got to win 2 more games before we even have that conversation. So, in the immediate, I'm with you. Nate Harris would be stunned if he's not the starter tomorrow. Novi can come back. I think Gregerson as well on 1 day rest. He should be fine. I think he threw 25 pitches. So I don't know about West Virginia's pitching situation, but I think we feel pretty good here in Kentucky, at least in that first game. And then if you're able to win that, maybe if Scott Rouse, unless they plan to use him. He was warming up yesterday against West Virginia, so I'm not sure completely what their plans were, but Rouse is a guy who has starting experience at Radford. He started games for Kentucky this year, so I think you feel pretty good about that. Tyler Bell's a huge storyline. Was this a situation where he was just out today, or you hope that a day of rest will allow him to come back a little bit healthier tomorrow, or will this be a situation where Kentucky doesn't have him the next 2 days? I mean, It's really tough without him in there. Survived it today. Um, I feel like if it's close, he'll play tomorrow. So we'll see. We'll see if that's where he is. But overall, yeah, good game. This was they did what they had to do, and whenever you get into elimination baseball, that's how it goes. And tomorrow is a really difficult day because you got to win two, and you got to beat a team that's 2-0, and we'll be in much better shape overall with our pitching staff than what you are. But got to take care of business that first game and go from there.
All in all, just didn't want to go 0-2. I know it's been an up and down, mostly kind of disappointing season. A lot of things of pertaining to the blown leads, and I know when it was 3-0 and then it was 3-3, everyone's like, "Oh, here we go again." But they outscore them. It's 4-0 over the final 4 frames, keep themselves alive. And as we were sitting in the press conference, it occurred to me. That's why I asked Minji on that question. They hit the 30 win mark, so that's 4 straight years of 30 win seasons and made the NCAA tournament in 3 of those years. So it's kind of a testament to where the program is as a whole. I know when I took over in 23, so 22 they had a 30 win season, but that was by winning a few games in Hoover, and they stayed out of the NCAA tournament. And there was a lot of smoke around Nick Mingione from Kentucky fans who weren't pleased with his performance. He came in 17, won Coach of the Year, immediately made the NCAA tournament. At 18 and 19, missed the tournament. 20 is the COVID year. 21 and 22 missed the tournament. So I wasn't sure what to expect, but now we're sitting here 3 years later. This is the third straight regional that they've had. The first one that they haven't hosted, but it's what they kind of expected after what was a rebuilding year. They lose their 7 of their 9 offensive guys from the College World Series team, their entire starting rotation. So I think the goal was to just make the NCAA tournament. So to win a game with a team that maybe some of their transfer portal pieces hadn't paid off like they had in the past few seasons. You're led by some young guys, Ryan Schwartz in there, Hanson's a junior, Hudson Brown, Kaya Scargett, Tyler Bell, obviously he didn't play today. Ben Claver yesterday had a good outing. Ethan Walker can come back if he doesn't get drafted. Just a lot of good for the future, I think, and at least just winning one game in the NCAA tournament, kind of letting the college baseball world that I saw some chatter this morning. People were talking about the SEC is overrated. Some people were saying that Kentucky shouldn't even been in the field, but they win a game, knocked USC Upstate out, and now it'll be on to tomorrow. Do you have anything you want to close with there?
Well, I won't be on here with you tomorrow, so I guess I'll give. Regardless of what happens, win or lose, there's the chance they can still win 3 straight to get out of this regional and still be playing next weekend. But to touch on your point, kind of the overall program health, and this is something I'll probably write about here in the next couple of days. This was a transition year. It always was from the start. It was a good goal to get to the tournament. They've done that. It's hard for me to watch this team and think that they haven't kind of maxed out what they have. I don't know that they should have been. Yes, they had a ton of close games. The overall record could have been better, but I don't know that the end result. You could have positioned yourself better overall in a field, or you might not be a 3 seed or whatnot, and it does matter. But the point I'm trying to make is this team had regional potential. They've made it to a regional. If they go beyond this, I think they overachieve. Because if you watch them play, I mean, we were talking about it earlier. Batting average isn't everything, but you go up and down that lineup. There are not a lot of guys who have hit the ball very well this year. They obviously get on base a ton from hit by pitch. They can draw walks some games, but when you've watched this offense play overall, the games they've really struggled offensively is when they didn't get free passes. When they've had to just basically hit their way through games, they've struggled to do that. We talked about it a little bit on yesterday's recap. They've played basically the whole roster. Anybody who can help them, I think they've tried to use. And they've really had to gut their way to these 30 wins. So the program health, I think, is in a great spot. This will be an important, whenever we get there. I know the season's not over yet, but whenever you get to the off season, it needs to be similar to 24. And we talked about that a little bit. You have some true impact transfers come in. It's different this year in the sense that they use so many guys that you have a lot of data points on your own players. Will those guys will they feel confident enough rolling them out there for a full season, or will this be a situation where you go to the portal and maybe upgrade that? That's what we'll have to watch. That will be the immediate storylines in the coming weeks because the portal opens here in 2 days and activity will pick up. But overall, with this group, they've won a game here. will have a chance to make it back to a regional final for 3 straight years, whether they win or lose it. I think people who have followed this program for a long time have to be thrilled with where the program is, because I can tell you they used to not make the tournament in years like this. Whenever you lose basically your whole team, and the guys that you were counting on have come back. Some have been good, some haven't, just flat out. They've had guys who have not produced much that they were counting on to begin this season, and they've had to pivot and go deep into this roster. So, a really good learning experience, I think, for the guys who are coming back to get these games and play 9 more innings at least tomorrow, and add to that, and that should help the overall team, whoever does come back, moving forward the next season.
Yeah, that about wraps it up here from Kingsmore Stadium. I want to thank Derek for joining me. Fat Cat Central. Go follow him at Derek Terry on Twitter.
At Derek Esther.
Yeah, at Derek S. Terry. He does some great stuff over there. Especially, I mean, this is his time to shine. This is the off season. This is roster movement, transfer portal, everything you need to know about what's going on with the program in between this season and next season. We'll be back here tomorrow at noon. Kentucky will face the loser of tonight's Clemson West Virginia game. Anything can happen. College baseball's wild. We saw these upsets last night. I'm sure we'll see some more today. Maybe is there a world? I'll leave you with this. Is there a world with Kentucky's pitching and the way that their offense has been that they can come out tomorrow, win that game, and at least win the second game tomorrow night against whether it's Clemson or West Virginia?
Why not? Yeah, I mean, I think so. Especially that first game. You would love to see West Virginia go deep into this game now, or Clemson, whoever loses, like 13, 14 innings. That would be great to cut into their pitching a little bit. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the first game tomorrow, it's just like a normal. It's like a normal Friday night. Right? I mean, who's not available? Walker. He's probably out of the bullpen. He's like the only guy tomorrow who won't be available. You'll have Novy. You'll have Gregerson. You'll have Byers. You'll have. You mentioned Adcock. Whoever else you want to use, McCoy. It'll be all hands on deck in that game. And you hope Nate Harris can give you a good start, but if not, you have a pretty well rested 10. The second game, if they're able to win, will be the tough one because you've got to see who throws in that first game. Hopefully you don't have to burn a lot of guys, but I don't know, Daniel. They'll be running on fumes on Monday. If they're able to win the next two, I was trying to rack my brain, go through the roster. I have no idea who would even start on Monday because in my mind, if you win the first one tomorrow, you would probably get Scott Rouse. So you at least have a decent idea of who your game 2 starter would be tomorrow. If you're able to do that, just take your pick on Monday because I have no idea. It would almost certainly be somebody, unless they try to go like the opener route, like they do sometimes in MLB whenever you just use your bullpen. Could you see a freshman? Could you see a Logan Salo situation like in 2014 where a guy who wasn't used that much, you just had to go through a lot of pitching and someone steps up. Salo stepped up back in 2014, I think, through 5 innings against a really good Louisville team. So I don't know. Could you get a Leighton Harris type? Could you get Tristan Hunter, any of these other freshmen who haven't thrown a ton later on in the season? Whenever you lose a game in those first 2, that's the situation you put yourself in. And that'll be a fun thing to talk about if they do happen to advance that far. But in the short term, I think you feel pretty good in a rematch tomorrow. If it is against West Virginia, and I think you feel good about your pitching situation, even if it is against Clemson.
All I'll say is tomorrow morning, one team will be coming off a win. That's Kentucky. One team will be coming off a loss. That's whoever loses today. But we'll wrap that up. UK wins 7-3. Joined by my friend Derek Terry of Bobcat Central. I'm Daniel Hager with Kentucky Sports Radio. Thanks for watching. We will be back here tomorrow at around 3 after either Kentucky extends its season or its season comes to an end. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.